So overlay everything you just said now onto Joe Flacco and the offense they're going to see.
Well, this is the thing about Cleveland. I think they're playing very good football with Joe Flacco because I've always said this, Dan. It's one of the most quarterback-friendly systems in the NFL. I think Kevin Stefanski is a very good play caller. A lot of defined reads, a lot of play action, a lot of concepts where Joe Flacco can hit the back foot and that ball is coming out now. I'll tell you what, Joe Flacco does not have the mobility. We know that. But he can absolutely still hammer the ball at all three levels of the football field. He still has the arm talent. He still sees it fast. And look, Joe Flacco has seen everything, right? He's played this game for a long time. And when you give him, skill players on the outside that Cleveland has and that quarterback friendly system, that's why he is producing. But I'll say this to your point, Dan. They do not have their starting tackles right now. They are both hurt. This is a game when the Bears have to win on the edges, have to win on the edges. It implies some interior pressure as well, so they can win on the edge, force Flacco to step up, and now he has what we just talked about that the Bears did last week against Detroit, where that pocket starts to close on him because he's not going to get outside and make second reaction plays. That's not where he is at this stage of his career.
You were talking about Flacco with getting to the top of the drop and letting the ball go. It
Mhm.
came up on Sunday Night Football, too, where Dak Prescott has said that now he feels more comfortable that he gets to the top of the drop and the ball is out. Why,
Sure.
why do you think it takes guys a little bit longer to get to that place where they trust the offense and say, okay, I can protect myself, I can keep our team on time, I can make plays by just getting to the top of the drop and throwing the ball?
Right. One thing is trusting your scheme, but also trusting your eyes. And you can identify coverages pre-snap and then read it out immediately post-snap. What are your pre-snap indicators telling you, whether you're using motion or formation to get the defense to kind of show their cards, right? Are we in man? Are we in zone? Are we in two deep? Are we in single high? That's the first thing. The second thing is reading the post-snap rotation immediately, whether that's the weak side safety rotating down, whether that's a corner in his technique, whether he's bailing or pressing. And be able to see that right away. And when you know that, then you say, okay, when I get to the top of the drop, I know where I'm going with the football. I have a clear 1 to 2 read and the ball's coming out. Now, if it's not there, then I go back to 3. Then I'll go backside. And again, it's not going to take a lot of time, but I know backside, that deep in breaker, I know it's going to be there because I understand what the coverage is telling me.
One thing I really liked from the last game, there were a couple throws that Justin Fields made where I thought there was a level of trust in an individual
Mhm.
matchup, and I don't know why teams ever go man against DJ Moore because that's just
Right.
it's just a mistake. He just shreds man defense. Cole Kmet is earning more of those passes. And are you seeing what I'm seeing a little bit that Fields is redefining how he reads Komet as open or not open in giving him a chance to body people up to make plays?
Sure. He does that on contested throws. You see that quite often. And then he knows when to anticipate when Cole Kmet is going to clear the second level. You saw that on the explosive play throw against Detroit on the play action with Kmet on the crossing route. He knew when he was going to clear that underneath linebacker, cut it loose. That's what we want to see from Justin Fields' ability to cut it loose, take the shot, and understand where Komet's going to be and put it on him so it's a catch and run opportunity. But I agree to your point, Dan, and whether it's DJ Moore or Cole Kmet, that's where the football is going. I did like seeing Darnell Mooney get more targets last week. I did like that because I do think he adds not a missing element, but another element to this offense in terms of his vertical stretchability and also what he can do after the catch, where he can play him as a boundary guy, he can move him inside. He gives you a lot to your offense. So I like seeing the target volume start to climb a little bit for him. And I love the play on the fourth down throw. And this is why, because a couple weeks ago in Detroit, when Justin Fields threw the deep ball to Tyler Scott, and Tyler Scott, didn't really track the ball the right way down the field, right? He slowed up. That should have been a game-clinching play, in my opinion. It was the same defense from Detroit, the exact same defense, where they show too high and they rotate the weak safety down. That's why Justin Fields took the shot to Tyler Scott, and that's why he took the shot to DJ Moore, because he's seen it before. He knew what the defense was telling him. He read the late rotation from the secondary, and he understood that weak side safety was not dropping down to play DJ Moore. He was dropping down in anticipation of a crosser, which was Cole Kmet. So you read high to low, right? And when that number one's open, that alert, that vertical, you
Mhm.
take the shot. I know it was a free play. I understand that. But it's still a well executed play in a critical moment of the football game. And that's why this team is winning, because they're making those plays. And look at the fourth one play from the defense last week. That is the play of the football game, in my opinion. Where it was 12 minutes, something like that left in the fourth quarter. Dan Campbell's going to go for it in his own, in negative field position. Jack Sanborn sets the edge, forces the ball inside. You get penetration from the defensive front. You get the corner filling downhill. You get defensive ends jumping over the top of the pile from the backside. That was team defense. And those are two critical plays. They won that football game, and that's why you're going into Week 15 against Cleveland as a confident football team and going in there thinking you should win the game.
What do they do well on defense?
Cleveland, they do a lot
Yes.
of things. Okay, so that is it's almost like playing for Greg Williams with Coach Schwartz. They're very aggressive. They are top 10 in man coverage rate. They are top 10 in blitz rate. They're very single high, okay, Lawrence? So now everyone will play some split safety, but they're cover one, man free with a post safety. They're cover three with a post safety and zone coverage. And they like to pressure. What I think they're going to do against Justin Fields, and because I would do this, and knowing how Greg used to coach against mobile quarterbacks, is blitz the interior gaps, A and B gaps, with second and third level blitzers. Because you don't want Justin Fields to be able to find open rush lanes. And the way to make a quarterback uncomfortable is never with edge pressure. It's always at their feet. And I think they're going to disguise their pressure as well. And they're going to attack the interior gaps. Because guess what? Even if Justin Fields gets outside and flushes outside the pocket, Myles Garrett is sitting there. And that is the matchup of the football game, in my opinion, is Braxton Jones versus Myles Garrett. Because Myles Garrett, to me, I mean, this is a discussion for another day, but you have to say he's the top one or two pass rushers right now in the National Football League.
When Jim Schwartz was in Detroit, he used a lot of the wide nine technique. With a guy like Garrett, do you even need to do that, or does it create an angle that he could absolutely take advantage of because of how special of an athlete he is?
It creates angles, plus it creates angles and entry points on stunts as well. And we've seen the Bears. The Bears are doing this very well right now with their twist stunts and creating the matchups they want and creating confusion for protection counts. You'll see the same thing where the defensive tackle works vertically up the field. And from that wide nine alignment, we've talked about this a couple weeks ago, now Garrett comes inside and he gets a matchup versus a guard with a running start. And that is a tough place to be. More space you have to cover, plus you're going against, I think, is the most powerful pass rusher in the NFL in Myles Garrett.
If they're going to play single high, and I'm just trying to think here like football 101, it would be what I guess Tim Jenkins refers to as the Hank route, curl flat combo, right? Wouldn't that be, especially if they're doing empty stuff, that you would run some of those, either both sides or one side or the other, where the inside receiver does the outside receiver curls, inside receiver goes out to the flat, right?
Right, and then your tight end will run a curl in the middle of the field. So it's a mirrored concept with a curl, or I call a sit route from the tight end in the middle of the field. That's one play to play man coverage, slant flat. Again, football 101, right, Dan? And that's for Luke Getsy. His game plan has to be loaded with one coverage indicators for Justin Fields, and that's why you're going to see some empty. I know Bears fans do not want to see empty, but you're going to see some because that's going to define the coverage for your quarterback pre-snap. He's going to know what you're in. Okay. Also, what I'd like to see more of. More motion, more movement. Okay, I think the Bears, especially in the red zone, are very static, and they're going to get to their formation. They're going to run their concept. That's great. But again, against a defensive plays man that brings a lot of pressure, use more motion, use more movement. Try to create situations where the linebackers and the defensive backs in Cleveland have to talk consistently pre-snap, because it's hard to do for 4 quarters. It's hard to do for 4 quarters and not give up a play and not have a bust. So the motion and movement, more formation variation in terms of bunch sets, stack sets. Try to get free access off the ball for DJ Moore so you get cleaner into the route. There are ways to counter man coverage and pressure, and the Bears are going to have to use those a lot on Sunday.
Well, and also quick developing mesh rubs picks.
Yes.
But it has to happen fast. Like it can't be slow developing, or it's going to break down, and he's going to be on his ass or running for his life. So are there things that are close enough to the line of scrimmage where you don't have to wait for long crosses to get some of the mesh concepts?
No, I agree with you, Dan. And there's plenty of them. A great way to get DJ Moore loose is to run a stack or motion into a stack and pick and have, the outside guy run a hitch route, which is really a pick, and run DJ Moore outside in the slot fade. That happens immediately. It's not a true fade throw. I mean, that ball is out. It's almost like a pop pass or a seam. We're just trying to get him the football. But there are ways you can do that to get him loose. And that's why I brought up Darnell Mooney earlier, because I think this is a game where he can have volume and be productive for you, especially if you're going to see man coverage. And there's ways, it's not just throw the go ball. I'm not talking about that. There are ways to scheme guys open versus man coverage. And the Bears will have to do that on Sunday. One, it makes it much easier for quarterback, but also you want a lot of catch and run opportunities in this football game.
Matt, how do you think other players on the Bears defense have benefited from the presence of Montez Sweat?
Well, I think for one, his ability to set the edge as a run defender has benefited everyone. You can't play football if you don't set an edge. Doesn't matter what level, you have to set an edge. Whether it's your defensive end, a safety rotating down your corner, you have to set an edge to the front. And I think he's done a great job of that. It helps your linebackers. It helps a player like Jaquan Brisker to be able to scrape outside free and make tackles. Obviously, it's benefited the interior of the defensive front. I think your guys are being more productive right now in the interior defensive front. And there's no question what is done to the secondary, because they are playing better. They are being more aggressive. They continue to take the football away, which they did not do. Remember at the beginning of the year, guys, we talked about this, and someone just needed to make a play, right? Remember when we said that? Someone just needs to make a play, one play. Well, now everyone's making plays. And that's a sign of a good defense that starts up front. It always does. And that's what Montez Sweat has brought to this football team.